Oh, and another question. Does a miter box count as a jig? No, no. The miter box is basically it's a tool. So miter box, if you're not referring, know those, these are little devices you can buy at hobby shops that usually have slots in them where you can place a piece of wood, tubing, several of our items that are cork that you could cut, but basically puts in a straight cut or a diagonal cut. That's sold as a tool. Teams are allowed to use it. Does not count as a jig because it's already a pre-made element. Now what I was saying is that was kind of the presentation that we had made at the Saturday training. We now have some additional information we would like to give to everybody out there, give you a little bit of idea, particularly those of you who might be new to the structure challenge.
All right, cool. So I'm up next.
Okay, Colton's coming back.
All right.
Wire there.
All right, we also have one more question. Is PVC considered flexible plastic tubing? So if the PVC is rigid, it's not considered to be flexible. So PVC is not considered to be flexible plastic tubing.
The definition of flexible plastic tubing is also a challenge.
Let's see. It's here too.
It's on page 5. It's item 8, and it actually gives the diameter. Also diameter. Rigid tubing is not allowed.
Yeah. So PVC would be considered rigid tubing. So therefore, PVC is not considered to be flexible plastic tubing. All right. All right, so we're going to talk about tournament day. So your team's going to want to arrive and figure out where the heck the presentation site is. So usually these tournaments are housed at a huge high school. We're typically found in gyms or large open spaces. It'll be marked clearly with signs and arrows and all kinds of stuff, but you'll want to get there early and figure out where the heck you are going and trying to find the presentation site to start. You'll want to gather your team somewhere close by. You probably don't want to bring all your props and stuff until you know where you're actually going. So it's probably a good idea to figure out where the presentation site is and then figure out how you're going to get all your props, costumes, different items that you need to the presentation area. So structure check-in is going to be 1 hour prior to your team's presentation time. So you'll want to bring your team, and at global finals you'll have your drawing. All right, sorry about that. So you'll want to bring your team and the structure check-in 1 hour before the presentation time. If it doesn't meet the specifications, teams will be given the opportunity to bring that into compliance. So you'll probably want to bring a toolkit of some kind just in case. Maybe something happens, maybe something goes wrong. All right. So this allows your team, in order to be able to modify their structure and bring it into compliance, they'll be given that full hour before the presentation time in order to fix any problems, if there are any. Hopefully that your team has gone to training and understands what the requirements are for it, so there won't be any issues come tournament day. But it's a good idea to bring like a emergency repair kit just in case your team has issues. About 20 to 30 minutes before your presentation, you'll want to gather all your team, props, costumes, everything that you're going to need, including your paperwork, and go to the prep area. So this is 20 to 30 minutes before your presentation time. You'll want to start gathering up and heading towards the prep area. Then your team will have the full 8 minutes in order to begin their presentation. They'll move from the prep area to the launch area. And then when the announcer says your team may begin, they'll be able to cross the launch line and present using the full 8 minutes. Teams meet with the appraisers immediately after the presentation and where the appraisers are going to ask questions about the team solution, how things were made, how things were done, different ways to understand their presentation better. And then you'll be asked to exit the site with all of your props. This is the time where you'll probably want to celebrate, breathe, because this is all a very stressful time, usually on tournament day. But after your presentation, it's time to kind of celebrate. Don't destroy anything yet, though, because you never know. You might move on to the next tournament. So you want to hang on to stuff and wait to find out the results. And then you can come back anytime throughout the day in order to pick up your scores. We usually have scores ready about 30 minutes after your presentation. And a lot of tournaments, at least here in Colorado, typically the instant challenge is scheduled 1 hour after the presentation time. But you'll want to verify when that instant challenge actually is, because sometimes you'll have the instant challenge in the morning and then your central challenge in the afternoon, or vice versa, or they are scheduled 1 hour apart from each other sometimes. So you can come back whenever to pick up scores throughout the day. But make sure you make it to your instant challenge. You can always come back after your instant challenge to pick up scores. So, required paperwork. So these are all the forms that you're going to want to bring with you to the prep area. And then you'll hand over most of these forms to the prep area person. However, the bill of materials you will want to bring to structure check-in with you 1 hour before the presentation time. So, and this is also the time when you'll be required to bring all of those samples and the original packaging. So be ready to provide that at the tournaments. And then the tournament data forms are going to talk about all of the different elements of the challenge. These all need to be filled out ahead of time and brought with you. They can't really be filled out there on site. We don't really have time for that. So please ensure that these forms all get filled out ahead of time. And then the expense report is going to list and cost out all of the items that are brought into the presentation area. The expenses have to be under $150 for the challenge. And then the Declaration of Independence needs to be completed and signed by all the team members that participated in solving this challenge. You will need to bring 2 copies of the Declaration of Independence, 1 copy that will be given to the prep area person, and then you'll want to hang on to the other copy of the Declaration of Independence, and you need to take that with you to Instant Challenge. They will ask you for that other copy of the Declaration of Independence at Instant Challenge.
Cool.
Yes.
They need to list team members, even if a team member has since quit and is not a tournament. They need to list all team members.
Yep. So all team members must be listed whether if they've contributed to the solution in any way. So if a team member helps for 2 months, does things for the challenge, and then moves away, they still must be listed on the Declaration of Independence. It is not necessary to have their signature, but they still have to be listed as a team member on the Declaration of Independence if they contributed to the solution in any way. All right. This is a typical layout of the presentation site. So the presentation site for our challenge is a minimum of 16 feet by 16 feet. Typically, we have a much larger space than that because we are housed in gyms or large spaces like large cafeterias. But your team has to be prepared to present in the smallest size space of 16 by 16. That will be the minimum. Global finals is usually pretty tight. It's usually right about 16 by 16, just so you have a heads up. The safety zone is a 2-foot region around the tester base that is marked out. It is 2 feet from every side of the tester base. And then if you look, there's a loading zone and an unloading zone that will be marked out for your teams to place the weights and then remove the weights too. There will also be a box marked out on the floor that says adult assistant. This will be the place where the adult assistant is going to stand and wait until the team members ask for help. It is also important to mention that the site will have a power cord. The power cord will be at minimum brought to the edge of the presentation area. Typically, here in Colorado, we have extra cord, which your team is welcome to kind of pull out and use, but it is a good idea to bring an extension cord if you plan to use power, because there are no guarantees that the power outlet will extend beyond the corner or edge of the presentation site. Here is the launch line. It is the red line here on this diagram. After your team has checked in their structure, gone through the prep area, they'll move into this area right in front of the presentation area kind of thing. And they'll wait until the announcer says, "Team, you may begin." At that time, they'll cross the launch line into the presentation area, and then they will be able to do their presentation and do the weight placement. They'll have that full 8 minutes in order to do all of this. So, and then they'll usually be asked in order to move out in a specific place or direction from the presentation area. The prep area person will usually cover all of this and the layout of the site and everything on tournament day with the team so that they're aware of how everything is going to work logistics-wise. There's going to be an appraiser's table at some point. It's usually like off to a side or in the back or something. This is the appraiser's area where they're going to be talking about the teams and writing down their scores and stuff. And we ask that the teams and the parents and everything stay out of this area and leave it to only the appraisers in that area. So this is just a sample presentation site layout. Each tournament is going to be set up different based upon what's available space-wise. So if you want to know specifics about how your site might be set up, please contact your regional director or regional challenge master for those specifics.
Can the adult assistant help in removing weights too?
The adult assistant can help in removing weights also. Of weights that are 25 pounds and greater. So 25, 35, and 45-pound weights, the adult assistant can help with.
Usually when you have your last meeting before the tournament, the team managers have the tournament walkthrough basically.
Yeah.
I would highly encourage you to go to those because you usually will get to go see your site, and that will help you kind of get a visual, of what it's going to look like, and go back and tell the kids.
Usually they're usually on the Friday before the Saturday tournament. Teams have the opportunity to go and see what the site is going to look like if they so desire. But that is something you need to contact your tournament director or regional challenge master about if that is something you're interested in. All right. So we kind of touched on all this. It's a minimum of 16 by 16. It's typically not marked off. But here in Colorado, we typically do mark it off at every tournament. There will be taped lines on the ground, almost definitely. I know every person here in the room shaking their head, yes, it will be taped off. So it's important to consider that the tester base and the weights and all of those designated areas around the structure testing will take up a portion of the presentation area. So those are all going to eat into the 16 by 16 space potentially at the tournament. So that's something just to be aware of. Teams may not move or adjust the structure tester base. The structure tester is going to be taped to the floor, so it's in the exact same spot for every team all day long. This is so it's completely fair, and teams cannot move it or adjust it in any way. A single 3-pronged AC outlet, it'll be provided to the edge of the presentation area. We highly recommend that you bring extension cords, power strips, battery-powered devices are also acceptable. They just have to be closed-cell batteries if you decide to use a battery. And then clarifications, Ron kind of touched on this earlier. Teams can request up to 10 private clarifications, and they must be submitted by February 15th, 2019 at a specific time. It's usually like 3 a.m. Eastern time or something. But try not to wait till the last minute, because if you really want to ask a question, you don't want to be too late. So,
and for some teams, the first tournament is 8 days later.
Yep. So yeah, some teams the tournament is right away, so it takes time for the ICMs to answer your question too. So that's something also to consider. You can ask 10 clarifications, 1 question per clarification. Yeah. All right. So there's no general clarifications as of right now, even. This says 10/24, but still today it's 11/8, and we still don't have any general clarifications. So general clarifications are clarifications that are published for every team that is doing the Monster Effects Engineering Challenge. So these can be found on the destinationimagination.org website under the challenge program and then clarifications. So there's a link here on this slide right now, but they're really easy to find. Teams need to look before the tournament and make sure that there aren't any of these, and if there are, they need to understand how they're important. So this is a good thing to be checking periodically, like maybe every month, while you're trying to solve this challenge, so that there's no surprises at the last minute about a general clarification that comes out. So private clarifications are clarifications that only your team has the answer to. So your team can ask a question of the International Challenge Masters, and only your team sees the answer. So we highly encourage you to take advantage of these 10 questions you get. This is how you're going to request the clarification. You're going to go to the idodi.org website. Yep, you're going to hit Team Challenges, and then you're going to go down to Clarifications. And then you're going to hit Monster Effects, because that's the engineering challenge. It's the best one. All right, and then a new window open, and you'll get to this. So this is also the spot where general clarifications are going to be posted, but you can click and ask a team-specific private clarification. So that is how you're going to go about that process of asking clarifications.
And they will respond directly to your email.
Yep.
They'll respond to your email.
Yeah, so you'll get an email response from the International Challenge Masters about an answer to your question that you have. You can also ask the Regional Challenge Master and us, the Affiliate Challenge Masters, questions that you have. However, we may direct you to asking a private clarifications from the International Challenge Masters if we are unsure of the answer. So if it hits a gray area where we're not sure exactly how to interpret it, we're going to send you to ask a private clarification. But general questions about the site, about different things, we can typically answer. So definitely take advantage of all your resources when it comes to asking questions.
And also have the kids read the challenge and see if the challenge doesn't answer the questions too. You want to be, you want to make sure you use your clarifications wisely. If there's an answer in the challenge, or the answer can be found in the challenge, have them at least read that a few times before. Never hurts to read it one more time before you ask a question.
So, all right. Now Margaret's going to talk about the structure, materials, and sources.
Let's see. All right. So the structure materials, they can all be found in the challenge, section 1B, pages 4 and 5. Pages 4 and 5 also identify a lot more specifics and definitions for each of these. That is a really important page because there's a lot of materials this year, and there are some specifications on each. Aluminum foil, if you look at the definition, it'll have a certain thickness. It'll define it as commercially available aluminum foil. Cork, duct tape, electrical tape. The flexible plastic tubing also has special specifications as far as what type of diameter it can be. Or the maximum diameter, I should say. Glue, latex-free balloons, latex-free rubber bands, monofilament fishing line, paper, wire, and wood. Again, have the kids check those pages in the challenge for the specific definitions. All forms of material count as a single material type, so they may use more than one type of wood as an example. The wood should be a natural substance found under the bark of any type of tree. It must be 100% natural. As an example, what's not wood is bamboo and man-made substances that simulate natural wood, such as plywood, fiberboard, or commercially available laminates. The monofilament fishing line, any commercially available single-strand, non-metallic fishing line of any weight or diameter. In this case, and this is again where everybody should look at pages 4 and 5 to find out if original packaging must be provided in addition to the sample that needs to be provided with the tournament data form or the bill of materials. Latex-free rubber bands, original packaging must be provided. Any commercially available continuous loop. Here, the specifications are right there.
Usually you might have to, I think it's Amazon is probably one of the better places to find those.
Yeah, that's a great place to find them. They have a wide variety that will meet these size requirements.
Yeah.
On Amazon.
Glue, any commercially available adhesive material applied in a liquid form and capable of creating a permanent bond. So examples are 2-part epoxy, Gorilla Glue, super glue, hot glue, and glues using an accelerant. Aluminum foil. Aluminum foil has to be less than or equal to 200 micrometers in thickness. Also commercially available. Latex-free gloves. Original packaging must be provided in this case as well. And wiring, the commercially available metal wire, 10 gauge or higher. So wire gets smaller as the gauge increases. The wire must be solid, maybe solid or stranded, and it has commercially coated or insulated wire is acceptable. Original packaging must be provided for the wire as well. Cork, the natural outer tissue of the cork oak used to make cork board sheets. Synthetic cork is not allowed, so kids should be really sure that the cork they're using is not synthetic cork. As an example, there are some wine stoppers that are synthetic cork. So
Team managers need to be aware of that one.
yeah, but I mean, the team manager should be, but they also need to make sure they tell the kids to be aware of it. Sorry, this is a good opportunity to educate your team. Duct tape, commercially available, pressure-sensitive fabric back tape, often coated in polyethylene in any color. Foil back tape is not allowed. So electrical tape is commercially available, pressure-sensitive plastic or vinyl adhesive tape. So that foil back tape and liquid or sprays advertised as electrical tape are not allowed. So sources of structure building materials. This is something we weren't able to go over in the shorter time frame that we had on Saturday, but for those who are in Colorado, here's some local suppliers and local stores, at least in the Front Range area. There's the traditional Colpar Hobbies, Caboose Hobbies, and Thompson Hobbies. There's also specialized balsa up in Loveland, Colorado. And Jake Zimmer is actually very involved in Destination Imagination. That makes a great field trip for your team if you ever want to take your kids up to specialized balsa. Call him to schedule a visit. And I mean, you can also, obviously you can go online and see what he has to offer. But that's a really great field trip we found. Plus, there's a Sonic, I think, close by for afterwards. Block away, yeah. So you can always bribe the kids, but it's great because he also has a structure testers there, and he really understands the rules of interference. So it's a great way to kind of let somebody else show them the properties of balsa and things to look for in balsa.
Oh yeah, it's a great selection of balsa so that the kids can see on the wall all the different sizes and shapes.
Yeah, he has a really good selection. He actually supplies to NASA, I think. So that's a really a fun field trip and a really good resource. Of course, the local hobby stores are great for, especially if they're trying to test out different woods, because he only has balsa, as I recall. But if they're trying to test out different kinds of woods and learn the different properties of woods, obviously you want to have other resources as well. There's National Change, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Home Depot and Lowe's, Balsa USA, National Balsa, Cabela's, all these different places have resources for things like the fishing line, the wood, any of the materials. Amazon.com, as we've noted at the bottom, has the latex-free rubber bands, and I'm assuming the latex-free gloves.
Latex-free balloons.
Latex-free balloons, sorry, not gloves.
Gloves are gloves too.
Yeah. Let's see. Yep, gloves.
Latex-free gloves. Balloons are not a material.
Right.
I got it mixed up.
Okay. Additional resources. So information in communities, and this is actually something the kids, it's great for you to check them out, but also tell the kids about these resources. Make sure the kids know where to find the clarifications, the general published clarifications. Make sure they have a copy of the rules of the road at every meeting and the copies of the challenge, obviously. And, the roadmap is a great tool for keeping the team on track. There's a travel guide for teams. There's the Destination Imagination blog. There's Facebook. There's Twitter, Instagram. There's also for the instant challenges, if you go and Google, there's all sorts of resources for sample instant challenges. Sometimes it's helpful to have maybe a parent offer to bring in an instant challenge. This is a great way for the parents to kind of become educated on what the kids are doing, and to get them involved on a pretty simple way where they don't have to take on all the onus of being a team manager, but it gives you a little bit of relief, but it also brings in a new perspective. They can bring in instant challenges and work with the kids on instant challenge. So you can find sample instant challenges on the idodi.org site, but you can also go out in a lot of states, DI organizations, and just in general, there's instant challenges if you just Google it on a lot of different websites. Additional training resources, there's YouTube recordings of this team manager training, and you and your team can all watch the YouTube of this particular recording. This is not anything secret or unique just to team managers. If the team wants to watch it and listen to this for an hour, they're welcome too. I believe that we're also going to have some YouTube videos. Where are we posting?
They'll be on the Colorado DI YouTube channel.
Okay, so the Colorado DI YouTube channel is going to have kind of bite-size
When
YouTube
we get
videos.
More of them finalized.
Right.
I'll send out an email to all the engineering teams about them.
Okay, so look for those. Those are going to be kind of snippets and kind of fun, just focusing on different aspects, such as, structure testing might be one of them. This recording is going to be posted on the dicolorado.org website, and additional training materials and instructions on how to build a structure tester base can also be found at that site. Here's again how to build a structure base or tester base, not structure base. Go to www.dicolorado.com, and on the resources page you can find how to build a tester base. You can also find it on the idudi.org.
Margaret?
Yep.
You might mention that we've used the same tester base for 25 years. So they can invest in something in the
Right.
future, pass it on to the next team at their school or whatever, or donate it back to us. But the tester base has not changed in 25 years.
Yeah, in fact, I think I loaned mine out last year, and I can't say that I've gotten it back, but that's okay. I hope the team is still testing for this year. Okay, is there anything?
More questions? We're going to be here taking questions for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Does anyone else have any further questions right now while we're still at it?
Lost the full screen.
Right down at the bottom. Put on projector mode.
Down here.
Slide.
Right here?
Right down. Here you go.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we got another question. Oh, we got some more. All right, so we
Keep them
had.
coming, folks. Keep them coming.
All right, so we have a question of, do the kids have to be present while shopping for materials? So the team doesn't have to be present while shopping for materials, but the team has to specify what they want, and then the team manager or parent can go pick it up for them. However, going to a hardware store and looking at all the different kinds of glue or wood or different things can be a great learning experience. Or even going up to Jake's place and learning about all the different kinds of balsa wood and the grains and different things can all be great learning experiences and field trips for your team to take advantage of. Let's see.
Go back to the schedule. South Metro, the South Region. South Region, what date is that?
9 through 10.
Yeah, March
You can
9th.
flip
March
back.
9th.
Okay,
Sorry.
March 9th is South Metro down in Pueblo.
All right, so we have a question about not understanding the 2-inch pole fits in the structure tester base. So the 2-inch, do we want to do a video? Yeah, let's switch to the video. Hit stop share.
I should have brought a fake structure.
All right, so this is the 2-inch column that is going to be at structure check-in to verify that the structure can accept that column through the center of the structure. So this is not incorporated into the structure tester base in any way. This is only going to be used, that 2-inch circular column is only going to be used at structure check-in.
The safety pole is,
The safety pole, which is the 1-inch safety pole, is what is going to be that the structure has to go over at like during the presentation. So the 2-inch column isn't used during the presentation or at the tester base. It's only used in structure check-in.
Highly recommend that while your kids are building to provide them with a 2-inch column to make sure that their structure is compliant. I believe Colton said that you can find at Home Depot.
Home Depot, it's vacuum tube.
Vacuum tube?
Yeah,
A
vacuum
vacuum tube
tubes.
comes in 2-inch diameter, so that's
Yeah,
a good useful.
Muffler pipe is the same
Yeah.
thing.
And you can shop for that without the kids.
Yeah. You can also-
that's just equipment that the kids could use, and it's really nice for them to be able to build their structures and go through the process of making sure that they're compliant, that they're the right height, that they fit around the 2-inch safety, or not safety, the 2-inch pole or the 2-inch diameter space. So
All right. Let us know if we've answered your question or not about that. And then someone asked, I'm not seeing latex-free gloves on the allowed material list. And that's correct, because we have a typo in our presentation. So
it's latex-free balloons.
it's latex-free
I thought so on the
balloons
other one.
rather than gloves. So the latex-free balloons are what is allowed. These are going to be probably found most likely on Amazon. Somewhere online is probably where you're going to find them, because most balloons in stores are latex balloons. So
party time carries some latex-free balloons, but not a lot.
Okay.
And we can't award points for the person that caught the typo, but thank you.
There is a team manager training in the South region this weekend, I believe. If any of you team managers here right now are in the South region, there is a team manager training.
Meaning you compete in Pueblo.
Yeah, meaning you compete in Pueblo. Yep, so the South region has a team manager training at Pueblo Community College at 8 a.m. this weekend. Go to the dicolorado.org for more information about that and all the specifics about it. So there is also a team manager training on November 17th in the Southwest region, meaning you compete in Durango. You're welcome to go there. There's a team manager training on December 1st in the Western Slope in Grand Junction. All of these team manager trainings are just for the outlying teams if they're not able to come to the team manager trainings here in town, or if they can't get to the webinars for some reason. We highly recommend the in-person trainings. You can see a lot more and ask questions sometimes easier than this. So we'll have another team manager training on
maybe December.
Yeah, December 8th, we have another team manager training that's live and in person. If you want to come to a live one, it will cover the exact same stuff we covered here. And then there's also another engineering webinar on December 8th, if you didn't get enough of us for an hour and a half right now. So, and then the tournaments. So good luck. Other than that, we have more questions?
That's about it. I don't see any new questions showing up.
Nope. Alrighty.
Sign off.
So you can go ahead and email us if you have any more further questions, or if a question comes up later on. We're gonna sign off for now.
All right, good night all.
Good night. Thanks for attending.